Hiding in plain sight, but not discussed in this chamber since the general election, is the spending of millions of pounds on the repair of this building, with members expected later this year to commit to spending billions of pounds into the future. The lack of debate or any meaningful transparency is despite the majority of this House being newly elected since last July. And instead, the detailed costs and any vote on options are being delayed until later this year, ironically, probably around the same time that the House is expected to vote on a budget which many expect will include tax rises. So members of the House and members of the public might reasonably ask why the leader of the House has not held any such debate since coming to office. Now, this issue speaks to a wider principle whether decisions are best formulated in private when some of the numbers remain uncertain, when reliance is placed on internal controls, when external advisors are there to give assurance, or whether it's better to have transparency, not least on an issue of great public interest. And a lesson from COVID as a minister was it is better to have transparency and open debate about the trade-offs earlier than to hold those in secret or allow the benefit of hindsight after the event. Supporting, indeed, greater transparency has been a theme of my time in the House, whether my initial 4 years on the Public Accounts Committee or indeed as a minister when I overruled official advice to disclose information to the National Audit Office during COVID. And since being elected as chair of the House's Finance Committee, I've repeatedly in private raised concerns around the financial management of the House and the multi-billion-pound Restoration and Renewal Programme. But I feel it is necessary, Mr Deputy Speaker, to raise these issues on the floor of the House today. Before doing so, can I place on record my thanks to Mr Speaker, because I know he cares deeply about taxpayer value, and it is an issue he has championed on many occasions. And I want to reassure colleagues that I will not disclose any information that I've received through my role as chair of the Finance Committee in a private capacity. Now, the crux of the issue is that there needs to be a complete reset of the R&R programme. The books need to be open to the public. We need to bring the public into the debate on how we balance the needs of a World Heritage Site, modern security, accessibility, for example, for those with disability, and value for money. And updated costs need to be presented. Currently, millions of pounds are being spent working up multiple options, despite us now being into the 5th year of this work. And indeed, the options are gold-plated, based on decisions taken often by members no longer in the House. And there is remarkably little visibility of this issue. The most recent costs presented go back to 2022. Even then, the cheapest was 8.6 billion to 13.8 billion, with the other costs costing more, and that's without inflation or known other significant additions. These costs exclude, for example, the work colleagues will see on the Northern Estate. Those aren't in the R&R programme, yet the public would associate those, not least given they're a key part of any decant. And we also know there's precedent for costs massively increasing. If you take the Elizabeth Tower as an example, the most recent example in this House, costs started at 29 million, they finished at 89 million, a 209% increase. If you take today's morning's news, the costs for Sizewell C and how those have increased. Second, known risks are in plain sight. The National Audit Office in their first report cited changes to programmes as a key risk, and yet we know the sponsor body that was set up at the start has now been scrapped. We know that we started with one option, we went to 2, then we went to 3 with an A and a B, so we've in essence got 4 options. Who knows, there could be a 5th on the way. The governance is opaque. Let me give the House an example. The key body that oversees this has only met once this year. It's only met twice since the last annual report. But if I look, Mr Deputy Speaker, at what's in the public domain, the first paragraph of the annual report says the client board and the R&R programme will mean sufficient, robust and detailed information will be available to the new Parliament to support decisions on the way forward for R&R. We've not debated it once, and the governing committee has only met once this calendar year. Conscious of time, I'll sort of canter through some of the other issues. But in short, security is often presented as a reason for not being transparent. And I would just draw colleagues' attention to the very welcome intervention of Baroness Smith in the House of Lords, her no exchange with Lord Hayward regarding carriage gates, where the costs were 9.6 million. I'm told they still don't work particularly well. And a related issue debated just last week in this House was where an official made a mistake in the Ministry of Defence, and colleagues in this House complained at both the cost to the taxpayer and whether that was covered up. How confident are members of this House that no such similar example exists? So I simply ask colleagues, are they aware what the costs are for the Northern Estate, the trade-offs and how they're being shaped, or the cost of any delay, and how confident are they when they're asked to make those decisions alongside a budget that we will have the information that they need? And I'll finish, if I may, with one final example, Mr. Deputy Speaker, because hiding in plain sight includes, a bit like High Speed 2, producing lots of brochures, lots of literature. And if I just take as another example one of the recent quarterly updates, colleagues can see on page 4, on our surveys ongoing, budget ongoing, develop the House Commons and plans ongoing, costing proposal ongoing, invitation to tender not started. No meaningful information. Indeed, the annual report only has any financial information on the final 2 pages, page 29 and 30 of the report. This is not a new issue. Lord Morse, in his 2022 report, noted, and I quote, Parliament has had a historically poor reputation for its contract management and commercial acumen. I believe, Mr. Speaker, issues should be shared with the public, the trade-offs discussed, and members of this House, particularly new members, given sight of these issues. I have called repeatedly in private for the greater debate. Today, I want to do so on the floor of the House.
Here, here.